Hey everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser, and I'm going to tell you about the 7 books this week that I like the most, and you can see that I've got a blank board on one because I can't find a copy of it, but find out what I'm holding after this.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Not going to be shocked by this week, that of my 7 books, 5 of them are indies, but what you will be shocked by is what book is coming in at number 1, because I picked a Marvel book for the first time in a long time. But coming in at number 7 is Batman number 97, the third part of the Joker War. This is by James Tynion with art by Jorge Menez and Mori on this. I like what is happening in terms of watching the Clown Hunter kind of get his thing going on. There was a good discussion on Comics and Beer with Bruce and Stephanie Comics on Friday night about the origin of the Clown Hunter, who he is. I found an interview in, I think it was Variety, with Tynion about Batman's kind of influence on who the Clown Hunter is, and then his lack of influence with who the Clown Hunter became. But I just really like the art and the story in this, as we see that Batman is still kind of intoxicated by the Joker toxin. You know, you're seeing him fight that army of Jokers. But my favorite thing in here is when we get another glimpse of the Joker. I just love how he's all blinged out in this and kind of nonchalant millionaire douchebag playboy. That to me was a funny add to the book. But I like the Joker War. I like the intensity that we're seeing from it. And might go back and look at some of the tie-ins because I'm enjoying this event way more than I thought I would. Coming in at number 6, Burke Family 54, old Steve will be happy. It's Draken New Dawn number 1, and Burke will go, why are you holding this up? Why didn't you get the Simple Man 616 exclusive variant cover? My bad. If there's still some available, I'm going to order it. It's by Anthony Birch, Simone Ragazzoni, and Raul Angulo. This picks up where the Ranger Slayer storyline left off, and you see that there's some chaos going on in the city that they're in, that the Coinless and Lord Draken's soldiers are now having to kind of work together and fight together, and it creates a tumultuous relationship in the city. We are also seeing that the Pink Ranger, who is now, the new Lord Draken, is having to go out kind of on her own to find a new way to lead, that she doesn't want to be as ruthless as Draken was. And then as they kind of go to this prison, she finds some dude that I don't know really who that is, that maybe some of you Power Rangers heads might have picked up some clues on the guy that's picked up from the prison, but I know it ain't good. That's how the book ended. This was so good, and Ranger Slayer was so good, that both Go-Go and Mighty Morphin are on my pull list. I'm sorry, Steve, I made fun of you. You're right, Power Rangers are good. Coming in at number 5, from Aftershock is Dead Day number 2, by Ryan Parrott and Evgeny Bornikov. I really like number 1. I was on the hype train when the first book came out. Everybody was talking about how this book is so great. The intensity of the dead showing up with this information desk is really interesting to me in terms of they get pointed in the direction, and if they get hostile, then they'll get shot at. This bar where the dead go, I like the idea that the price is what the price was in the year that you died. I think that's kind of funny, but we're figuring out what this woman's former husband who's dead and back, what axe he has to grind and what their relationship still kind of is. But by just seeing how intense it is now that the dead have come back, and the actions that, no thank you big girl, that the two of them are willing to take, really makes me intrigued for what they've got going on in number 3. But I was really, really into listening to Ryan Parrott talk about this book when Lost in Comics interviewed him, and book 2 hits as hard as book 1 did, if not a little bit harder. So I'm anxiously awaiting number 3. Coming in at number 4 is Jane Foster Valkyrie number 10. I know that this was digitally printed first, but it's new to me, so I'm putting it in the video the week it came out. But this is the last issue of the series that we'll get to see more Jane Foster when the King in Black event kicks off. but I like kind of watching how she dealt with Tyr, the closing of the dimensional portal. I have been on this hype train since book 1, that I think Jason Aaron and his team did a brilliant job with the book. I was real mad when it got pushed to digital at the start of COVID and the distribution delay. But I'm a big fan of this book. I'm excited to see what happens in this King in Black event that happens in the fall, and it makes me more excited to read Thor because I know that I'll get more Valkyrie. Coming in at number 3, Once and Future number 10 by Kieran Gillen, Dan Mora, and Tamara Bonvillain. You didn't know what was going to happen in terms of the last book with the death of Gilgamesh and the return of Grendel, but where this is kind of awesome to me is that this is the first time that monsters become kind of this big existential threat to the real world, instead of, seeing the impact of the rise of Arthur or of Merlin on just the people who are either trying to bring them back or take them down. Like, Grendel attacks the old folks' home that Graham is at, and I really like him, watching her fight and boss everybody around because they're naive to her background, that they think she's just this sweet old doddering lady. But when Grendel shows up and the conversation they have about how to take him down is just another brilliant turn in this book to me, and I need more now. Coming in at number 2, I couldn't find my copy of it, but it's real good. It's probably in a box, and my daughter is running around, and I don't want to fight her over it. So I'm holding this up, and you'll hear a lovely little ping with the real cover. But It Eats What Feeds It number 2 came out this week from Scout Comics, and the horror intensity continues to go up. Last week on Comic Burrito's live stream, I talked about how I really like the smoky, foggy, ethereal feel of the art, that you just know everything is about to go wrong. And the other comparison I made with this book is, we get another reveal of the monster, of the being, later in this book, and it feels very Something is Killing the Children to me, in terms of until Erica Slaughter saw the monster and we got to see her reaction to it in that series, the reveal that we're getting of the monster is different each time in each book, and I think that that's a very interesting, kind of intriguing feel, and we still don't know what it is, why the woman has it, and what's going to happen to the dude who's watching her house, or her caretaker at the time. So again, if you want The Graduate as a horror movie, read this book. It is dope. Coming in at number 1, and I'm pretty damn sure that Bruce will yell at me, Spider-Woman number 3 by Carla Pacheco, Perez, and Frank Diamarta. So I like what's happening to Jessica Drew in this series. That I liked knowing that she, has been poisoned by the doctor who's, the doctor and daughter who she was sworn to protect in issue 1. We find out that they're attempting to replicate, Ainsley, no thank you, some of her father's experiments on her to create the healing factor. That she's, full-on brutal because she's concerned about the welfare of her son since she's away from him. This book picks up in the aftermath of the failed invasion of the lab to get the spider specimen that they needed to help complete the formula to try and fight the dude's daughter's cancer. And we learned that there's a mole in the doctor's operation and they have to flee, and that's where the dinosaurs come in. And the reveal at the end of this book is kind of massive because I'm pretty sure we thought the person was dead. And we don't know why there are dinosaurs, and even the reveal of where they ended up after kind of fleeing some people in an epic helicopter and plane ride made this book heart-pounding. I really, really enjoy this series. I like the way that they're kind of writing Jessica Drew in conflict, and Jessica Drew being coerced throughout this book, and I just need more of it. So what do you think? What are your top books of the week? Is there anything that I left out? I think there were 3 books left from the week that I didn't read, excluding my X-Men stuff that I'm still playing catch-up on. So like I still have to read A Man Among Ye, the death metal guidebook, and I think that's about it. But these were my top 7. Again, I think this was a pretty solid week of reading, from all of the big 2 books to every single different independent publisher that I've read. This to me feels like 3 weeks in a row that were really, really good in terms of reading, art, and content. So what did you think? Let me know down in the description below. Pay attention to everything that I've got going on this week. I've got a couple of wild announcements coming out in addition to episode 2 of Comic Book This or That happening on Thursday night. So, as always, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.